Hello, my wonderful, beautiful friends, guys. Welcome back to our /IDontWorkHereLady, where Karens mistake regular Joe Schmoes as workers. And in today's episode, tantrums are being thrown, managers are being summoned, Karens are getting embarrassed, the lineup is wild. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the stories. And as a reminder, guys, this voice that's narrating these stories should only be on the Dark Fluff YouTube channel, nowhere else. So if you guys do happen to hear my voice on another channel, well, shame on that person. Let's dive in. So this is a funny one. This happened a few years ago, but another self-checkout story reminded me of it. I was checking out at one of the self-service checkout stands after my weekly grocery shopping. I was almost done when I hear the angry "excuse me" of a very cranky old lady who we'll call Karen. I look up and she shoves some salad dressing in my face. And here's a couple of things to note. Number 1, I'm wearing a white undershirt instead of a lime green polo that the employees of the store wear. Number 2, the self-service checkout kiosks look nothing like the regular checkout lines, and they're in their own section with a giant self-service banner hanging from the ceiling. And lastly, I'm clearly scanning and bagging groceries. Of course, none of these things mattered to Karen, who just wanted her salad dressing but would be damned if she had to muster up the effort to scan it herself. I just kind of looked at her, confused for a minute, and then she starts waving the salad dressing around, I guess thinking maybe I didn't notice it about 6 inches from my face. She then goes on to say, "Come on, I'm in a hurry." And I, having had a pretty crappy day at that point and not appreciating her tone, just took and scanned the salad dressing and I put it in a bag. The woman says, "Finally, thanks." She then starts to dig around in her purse for some money. I just paid for my groceries and the salad dressing and start to gather my bags to leave, and that's when she says, "Wait, I need my salad dressing." To which I respond, "I don't know what you're talking about. I just bought this salad dressing." Before she could respond, I walked away as quickly as I could. I was worried that she would yell at me, but I think she finally realized that I was just a customer. I hope she wasn't in too much of a hurry because she had to go back and buy more salad dressing. And here's a fun fact. I never had balsamic vinaigrette salad dressing before that night, but now it's my favorite kind. So thanks, cranky old lady. What a hilariously petty move that was, and the look on that old lady's face when OP did that must have been priceless. And I love this comment right here, guys. This person says, "I've never had balsamic vinaigrette. Does it taste like justice?" And if you guys thought that encounter was a bit over the top, listen to this next post. Here's some background. I'm a bus driver, and on this day, I was off duty. I was riding home in uniform, sitting halfway down the bus with my headphones in, trying not to fall asleep. I work evenings, so it was around midnight, and I had worked 6 days in a row and looking forward to a couple of days off. And this is when the bus takes a wrong turn. Now this does happen sometimes, as we do drive several different lines and sometimes wrong turns do happen. The lady sitting next to me just looks at me and she said, "What you gonna do?" I looked back at her and I just shrugged. She then starts berating me saying, "You're going the wrong way." Being dead tired, I'm like, yeah, I don't mind sitting this way when I'm a passenger, as I thought she meant that I'm sitting with my back towards the front. She then says, "No, this is the wrong way. You need to turn around." At this point, I'm like, "Lady, I'm sitting here in the middle of a bus with my back to the traffic listening to music. I'm not driving the bus." She then replies in these exact words, which I remember to this day, "Y'all got autopilot. Lazy mother effers like you never admit when you do anything wrong." I didn't know how to reply, so I just stand up and I told her, "Okay, I'll turn the bus around, ma'am. And then I'll go sit in the back, so I'll be the last one there." I really didn't know what to say. The few other passengers did have a laugh though, and the actual driver did manage to get back on track without much delay, so we all got home eventually. Okay, so I didn't realize that this type of person was real until today. So my job is kind of specific, so I'm going to be intentionally vague. My work is at this entertainment company, but I don't work for the entertainment company. Instead, I'm a third party, specifically there to audit and make sure the entertainment place isn't breaking laws, etc. I'm officially neutral and separate from the business. Most people do ignore me because the workers all wear a uniform, whereas I'm just in casual business wear. I do, however, have a small badge I wear, and it's different from the rest of the staff, but it is a badge. Anyways, I'm walking through the building so I can clock out, and this woman's blocking the door holding a soda in her hand. Her face is red and angry, and I'm thinking, oh boy. She stops me and she says, "You, grab that server for me." She then points at a server across the room. I do hesitate for a second because I'm really supposed to interact with the staff as little as possible. I'm not even supposed to walk through certain areas, like the one the server's standing in, but whatever. I kind of walk towards the server, wave to get his attention, and point him towards the woman. He's approaching her, following behind me. I figure he's got the situation, and I go walk behind her through the doorway she's still blocking. I step around her, and as I do so, she starts telling me that something's wrong with her stupid soda. I hold my arms up defensively, and I calmly state I don't work for this entertainment corporation, which was a big mistake. She's now pissed, and she has absolutely abandoned the server to follow me through the area. She starts yelling, "You do work here. You have a stupid attitude problem." And once again, I'm put into a weird spot since I'm supposed to engage customers minimally. This woman's now irate, and I'm not gonna fight her in the middle of the area. I cross into the separate section for my company, leaving her behind. Immediately, I walk to my manager and I start telling him what's happened. As I'm talking, she starts yelling from the fenced-off area, pointing at me saying, "What's her name? I want to speak to a manager, blah blah blah." I just look at my manager and I said, "That's her." He then met with her and one of the entertainment corp staff to try to explain the situation. Apparently, she tried to make up something, how I disrespected her, and also said my manager did something wrong. I then hear her yelling how customer service is her industry, and she knows how to treat people and we should be fired. And I just thought, okay. And I will admit, I could have coddled her more. I could have said something like, "I'm so sorry about your drink, ma'am, but this gentleman right here will fix that for you, 'kay, pumpkin?" I definitely wasn't expecting her to tirade through the entire building, following me and yelling at the top of her lungs. Honestly, I think she was just upset already and she was looking for someone to take it out on. Honestly, sometimes you just can't win with some people, especially when it comes to dealing with a nasty person like that Karen. Someone who makes up outrageous lies to try to get employees fired. Which in my opinion is such a low, pathetic thing to do. Like, you're that mad about a drink that you'd literally try to F up someone's livelihood. I think we can all agree that hopefully karma gets her one day. And since we're on the topic of people trying to lie about workers to ruin their jobs, listen to this post. This happened a while back and I thought I'd share. I worked in a mall food court restaurant for a little over 2 years. I knew most people who worked in that mall from other stores. Now, our food place had a special system where we delivered paid food to other employees around the mall, so they don't need to waste their break time going all the way to the food court for food. I was delivery coordinator for busy days, so it was my job to check, organize, and send out the deliveries with the runners, 3 of them. But during the holidays, we run out of runners and I had to go make a quick delivery. And the thing is, I'm used to being mistaken for an employee. I wear a uniform with a name tag that looks similar to what you'd expect out of a JCPenney and Macy's. I'm headed to the store's break room to drop off the food before I'm stopped by the Karen of this story. It's the holidays, and I've been there for 8 hours already, coordinating 15-year-olds, and I was in a hurry to get back. The Karen says, "Excuse me, but I'm in a hurry and I need to be helped." I respond, "I'm sorry, ma'am, but I don't work here. The service desk is right there if you need to be assisted." I said that to her as polite as usual. He then says, "If you don't work here, then why are you in a uniform with a name tag?" I tell her, "I'm sorry, I'm currently on the clock and I need to get this food." She then screams and says, "Eating on the clock, are you?" I respond, "It's not for me, ma'am. I'm sorry for the confusion, but..." She then yells, "I want your manager." Thankfully, the buyer of the order hears the commotion and he comes out to see what was going on. And lo and behold, the buyer was the manager. She then says, "Excuse me, but this employee has been refusing me service and I demand they be written up." By this point, I'm just tapping my foot impatiently. I get very nervous when I'm late, as we have over 60 deliveries per hour during the holidays. The manager sees my look and understands what's going on. Manager says, "She doesn't work here, she works in the food court and she's brought me food for my break." Karen went silent and I just gave a bow and dismissed myself from the situation. Sadly, the woman follows me. I immediately get back to work, and right as I was explaining to my manager what happened, Karen shows up, and she starts making up ridiculous lies. The woman said that I should be fired for stealing this restaurant's food to give to my friend, and I was roaming around shopping while on the clock. I just gave my manager a "that's her" look, and he sighed and explained the situation to her. She continued to complain and everything was falling behind until I had an idea. I gave her an expired promo card for a free item. I then dished out the usual apologies until she left with her expired coupon. That's when my manager asked, "Did you really give her a free meal?" I responded, "Nope, you should never feed a bear. They always come back." About 6 years ago, on a Saturday night, I was hitting up a concert with some friends. Now, this venue had 2 parts. The main part was a restaurant and bar with a big outdoor venue that could fit about 1,500 people. And across the street was the second venue. It could fit about 1,000 people. I got confused as to which venue I was heading to. I accidentally parked at the main venue, saw my mistake, and then walked across the street to the intended venue. Now, I had worked late that day and I couldn't go home to change, so I was wearing a black polo shirt and black pants. After my concert ends, I walk back across the street to the main venue where I parked. I try to take a shortcut around the building, only to find myself blocked by temporary fences and barricades. I look to my left and I see a couple of tour buses. I walk towards those and manage to walk between them. There, I find myself in a loading/staging area with some hospitality tents and people walking around, and I'm hearing a band playing really close by. I grab a snack and a drink, and I ask the guy how to leave, and he points to the right. Now, the only way to the right is this long ramp that leads around the building. So I walk up and follow it around the building, literally to the side of the stage where the band Yellow Card was playing live. I'm talking 10 feet away from me, tops. As I'm walking up, somewhat confused to the scene in front of me, this woman with a clipboard and headset walks up. She yells at me asking where my lanyard was. I kind of shrug and I say I don't have one. She then gets pissed off and she yells at me saying, "Don't you move." She's back in 5 seconds with a lanyard with an all-access pass and she tells me to put it on. I try telling her that I don't think I'm supposed to be here, but she snaps and she tells me, "Shut it." She says, "Stay right here and guard the ramp. Make sure no one accidentally tries to come in that way," which is literally what I had just done. She then walks away, so I spend the next 30 minutes on the side of their stage while they finish their set. After their encore, I head back to the hospitality area. I grab some food, have a few drinks, mingle with some folks. After a while, I see Headset Lady walking around, so I walk up to her, hand her the lanyard, thank her for the drinks and the show, and leave. That was the one and only and best I don't work here lady situation that's ever happened to me. I totally agree, like getting to see a concert like that for free, amazing, I'm jealous. And listen, the only way that could have gone better for OP is if she came up to them and paid them for the security work. And this person says, honestly, wearing black and looking really annoyed can get you backstage at a fair number of concerts, lanyard or not. And this person adds, throw in a clipboard and you become a god. So here's some quick background to set the scene. I used to work in a commission sales job, selling mostly cell phones and cell phone accessories. I started out as a part-time sales associate right out of college, and after a chunk of time, I worked my way up to store manager. My store was a little quiet place, always the last in sales in the region, but I did have a great team and we all did our jobs well. And here's one important thing to note. We were right next to a giant grocery store and a Chipotle, and oh how I missed that. Being right next to a grocery store, I was in there shopping often. I knew most of the staff, and they often stopped in my store to chat or browse. Now, the uniform I had to wear was basic. It was black dress pants, a red company branded polo, and dress shoes. The grocery store was nothing like that at all. We still were often confused for employees there, which at first was terrible, but it became so common that we just dealt with it. I knew where the things were, so I would help if I could, and most people were okay with admitting their mistake and moving on, but not everyone. Anyways, on to the story. When this happened, I was freshly made the manager of the store, and I decided to show some appreciation and schedule myself for all Sunday with minimal help. A kind of thanks for being an awesome team and getting me here, so take the day off type of deal. And holy, Sunday was slow, so I decided to wander to the store on my lunch and grab some food. Sunday may be slow at my place, but not at the grocery store. I'm standing in the drink aisle, debating between a soda or lemonade, when I notice to my left is a small, grouchy-looking old man. I think he wants in next to me, so I just ignore him and slide over. And that's when the old man says, "Hey, you need to help me right now." I respond, what? He then says, "You need to help me." At this point, I think he either needs help with a heavy case or he thinks I work here. I just say to him, "Sorry sir, did you need me to help you grab something off the shelf?" The guy says, "No, since you're the manager, can you go to the back and check if they have so-and-so soda? I have a picnic to get to." This is when I tell the man, "Oh, I don't work here, read my shirt." He then says, "I don't care where you work, I asked for your help, and you need to help me, I need to get going. So please go check the back." I just respond, "Sir, you need to stop. Best of luck with your stuff. Go find someone who can help you." And here's where this grumpy old man grabs my arm as I walked away. And I thought, no thank you. I smacked his hand off my arm and just continued to walk away. And he just says, "Don't walk away, help me." I tell the man one last time, I don't work here. I work next door at the phone place. And that's when he says, "You work there? Well, I'll F off right to your manager if you don't work here." To which I respond, "Great." The man then abandons his cart at this point and he follows me through the self-checkout as I paid. We wander on down the plaza and into my workplace. The whole time, he keeps telling me how I'm going to get fired and he can't wait to watch it. I'm as calm as a cucumber because I knew what was ahead for this poor man. We enter the store and thankfully it's empty. Just my one employee chilling near the TV display. The man marches up to my employee and says, "Go get me the manager." My employee's baffled at the screaming. He's got no idea why this is all happening and he points at me saying, "The manager's right there, sir." The old man loses it and says, "Do you think this is a joke? You are all going to learn some respect today." I just tell him, "Sir, I am the manager, it's no joke." The guy just continued to yell and scream. He even asked for the district manager's number and then asked for another store manager's number. He even asked my employee to come fire me, thinking he was the real manager. Everything was fine until he knocks over a register display and then threatened to destroy more in the store, so I got to call the cops on him. The rest of the day was pretty smooth, and no idea how his picnic went, but they probably didn't have anything to drink. So this happened a long time ago, and my dad likes to bring it up as a teaching tool on why you should always be polite no matter how the other person's dressed. Anyways, my dad is also the CEO of a construction company, and this takes place at my dad's company's reception area. Here's a little bit of background. I had an internship that was near my dad's office, but growing up, I never stopped by my dad's office ever, though his colleagues know he has kids but doesn't know what I look like. Here goes. My internship ended way earlier than expected, so I called my dad to see if he'd like to have lunch with me before I head home. He said yes, but let me know that he's in a meeting and it might take a while. I was fine, and I said I'll wait in the lobby until he's done. Cue me stepping into the reception area and telling the receptionist that I'm here waiting for someone. The receptionist says, "Okay, do you want me to call whoever you're waiting on so they know you're here?" I respond, "No thank you, he already knows I'm waiting." So I settle down in one of the nice couches and I pull out a folder from my internship and start reading. I then spy a nice little coffee maker and I decide to make myself some coffee. Then comes Chad, basically storming into the place like he owns it. The guy waltzes in and says, "Kim, hey, I'm here, call Walt and let him know. I need to go over some stuff with him before the presentation." I then hear him say, "And you, make me a coffee, I take it black." Since I was dumb, and again, I didn't work here, I didn't realize that this guy was speaking to me. Chad then says, "You, miss, yes you, make me a cup of coffee, black." At that I respond, no thank you, I don't work here and I'm waiting on someone. Chad then says, "What do you mean, no? Do you know who I am? I have a contract with this company and I'll tell your boss that you were rude and you won't have a job at all." Throughout this whole thing, the poor receptionist looked horrified and tried to defuse the situation. Kim says, "Chad, I just called Walt and he's on his way down. Why don't you take a seat?" Chad then goes on and says, "I don't believe this. Is she here for an interview? Because if she is, she's not gonna get the job now." And that's the problem with people just starting out. No respect. If you want to move up the corporate ladder, young lady, you have to be a yes person. I just ignored him and I sat back down sipping my coffee. Just then, Walt shows up, hearing the tirade. Walt asked, "What's going on?" And that's when Chad says, "Nothing. This girl is just rude and disrespectful." That's when the receptionist chimes in and Walt waves her off and says, "I'll take care of this. Don't worry about it." He then says, "Now miss, Chad here is a very important person at this company. Are you here for an interview? Please grab him a coffee and I'll talk to HR about this, okay?" I respond, "I don't work here, nor do I want to. I'm waiting for someone." Walt then looks at the receptionist and asked, "Who's she waiting for?" And before the receptionist could answer, Chad pipes up and says, "Probably her boyfriend or something, probably one of the new guys." This is when Walt says to me, "Now miss, you're making things difficult for your friend. You're being very rude to his bosses at work. Your boyfriend could be fired for this." At this point, my eyebrows just rose higher and higher. Thankfully, my dad walks into the lobby with a colleague of his that I've known since I was a kid. My dad sees me getting berated by two guys and he asked, "What happened?" Walt pipes up and says, "Nothing, boss, just some guy's girlfriend who's rude to Chad. I'll talk to him and get it sorted out, and Chad and I will have the presentation ready after lunch." Dad, confused, asked, "Boyfriend?" That's when I say, "Dad, he got angry when I said I'm not making him coffee because I don't work here." He just kept going on, and Walt here thinks I'm someone's girlfriend. Both Chad and Walt's faces went ghost white when they realized I'm waiting for their CEO, who happens to be my dad. Dad asked, "Is that true? I did hear some shouting." The receptionist nods her head, and that's when Dad's colleague says, "Are you here for lunch with your dad? Why don't you both go and I'll take care of this. Walt, Chad, my office, now." My dad and I left, and I had to spend the whole lunch explaining what happened. My dad didn't say much, but I could tell he wasn't happy. He just told me not to worry about it, and he'll get to the bottom of it. Later that night, when my dad got home, my mom got the whole story and told me. His colleague got the whole story from the receptionist, and Chad's contract was promptly canceled due to unprofessional behavior. Walt was reprimanded by his supervisor, who reports to my dad. From what I understand, he quit the company 6 months later. Talk about a huge mistake, guys. Like, being rude to OP was one thing, but to have her be the CEO's daughter, holy moly. But yeah, I can never understand why you wouldn't treat everyone with respect, especially in a business environment. Like, there's way too much to lose and not much to gain, in my opinion. So here's some context. I'm a 40-year-old man, currently mobility restricted. I use either a manual wheelchair or the motorized mobility aids that the supermarkets provide. I also wear a reflective vest to keep people from hitting me while I'm in the wheelchair or the scooters. Here's the story. Some point over the last week, I had taken a trip to my supermarket just up the road from me. I love this store, as my interactions there tend to be far more positive. Better prices too. I was really only in there for like 4 things, and I was just leaving the frozen food section, on the way passing a large display of bottled waters. There, I see a frustrated woman. She wasn't much older than me, 55 tops, I'm confident. She was struggling to get this 24-pack of bottled waters down. That's when I asked if she would like some help. She looked shy for a moment, and then sighed, and then bashfully asked, "Would you?" I gave her a line that's actual truth with me. It's how mom and grandmother raised me. So with her permission, I moved the items around in her cart and managed to get that thing in there without much issue. She thanked me so much, and I figured that would be the end of it. But it wasn't, but for good reasons. I was browsing the bread when she returned. She asked if I knew where a certain type of burger sauce was. I blinked, as I had never heard of this burger sauce specifically. I just told her if she was looking for sauces for burgers or steaks, then she'd want to look to her left after entering that aisle. I gestured with my hand at the appropriate height they'd be at. She was impressed and walked off. She did come back 2 more times looking for other things, not once asking if I worked there. I also didn't tell her I didn't because she already gave that aura that she was embarrassed about having to ask for assistance as it was. I just helped her, and then she moved off to a different aisle to handle her purchases. I went to the wide aisle as it's the easiest to maneuver in and out while in a mobility aid. I chat briefly with one of the regular employees, and we catch up on current affairs. I had just finished bagging my groceries, and I was wheeling towards the exit when this lady approaches with one of the managers I'm quite friendly with. The lady pointed at me and said, "There he is, that's the one. He's such a nice employee." She then proceeds to tell the manager how I excel in customer service, how I took the time to assist her, and I was friendly and polite, and despite being in a mobility aid, I even helped her grab a heavy case of water from up high. She said I went above and beyond for her. My manager friend flashes me a knowing smile, and I just smile back. When the lady finishes her compliments, she informs me that she wanted to be present when she gave me my kudos, so she could witness my reaction. She then said she wishes more employees were this helpful. Once she left, the manager and I share a laugh for a good minute. Not mocking her, just that this was such an interesting, good, and wholesome thing that happened. Like, she was a reverse Karen. So that's it. That's the whole story. And I love to help, I gotta say. What a wholesome post that was, guys, and I really enjoy the fact that OP and the manager just ran with the whole worker thing. Like, sometimes it's best to leave it as is. But I also don't blame her. OP was wearing a reflective vest inside a store, so she did make a valid assumption. Definitely nothing like the Karens who think that summer dresses are the attire at dental offices. And that, my friends, brings us to another end of r/IDontWorkHereLady. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's stories. If you did, hit that thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing so you don't miss these crazy stories. And if you missed the last episode on the channel, it's an r/entitled People episode, where Karens are taking advantage of their friends and the stories are wild. Go check it out if you haven't, and myself and Stevie Boy will see you guys in the next one. We love you.